Meet Rob Nelson, talk show host.
Because you got the 70s thing going there. I got someone's underwear.
Robert Kennedy, thanks for taking a minute. Simple question.
Tucker?
It's good to see you. Listen,
You're a Bitcoin maximalist. You're Bitcoin forever.
I hate this central bank digital currency.
Hey, I don't have all the answers, but together, I know we can find them.
Down in competition and the ratings tab for late night weekend viewers.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Happy Monday. Rob Nelson Live. I'm in Cali right now on the beach. Doesn't look like it. I've got my prison stand-up comic backdrop behind me. Interesting weekend. It's been crazy. The holiday weekend. Thanksgiving weekend is over behind us. Thanksgiving weekend always feels like it's like a week, right? Because it kind of starts on Wednesday, ends Sunday night. It's like almost is a week. And you get a lot in there. Work, play. Hopefully you all had good times with your family and friends. So let's just jump right in and have a little fun today. So a couple interesting things going on. I don't know if you guys know who Wahajat Ali is, the Substack writer. He's got a thing about white people. Like if he was a white person saying it about black people, he'd be banned from every platform there is. Because, you can't be, you can't say things about another race if you're white. But if you're not white, you can say a lot of things about white people, which again, to me, have never made sense to me that racism can only be, from the unoppressed to the oppressor. I mean, racism's racism, right? It's not about you're a racist if you're the oppressive class defined by whoever says you're the oppressors. Racism is identifying another group of people by their race and characteristics and attributing all things to them based on their racial characteristics. It's not about, hey, I'm the more powerful person in the relationship, therefore I can't be a racist. White people may be more powerful in America than black people. I mean, on an overall level or on a systemic level, but it has nothing to do with being racist. You can be racist if you're a minority and you dislike the majority. That you can still be racist if you I hate all white people. That's just as racist as I hate all black people. Right? I mean, this whole notion, somebody came along and said, you can only be a racist if you're the black people can't be racist to white people. Can they be racist to Latino people? Can Latinos be racist to blacks? Can everybody be racist to everybody except white people can't be racist to anybody? Could white people be racist to aliens? Anyway, Wajid Ali went on a rampage against those who support Donald Trump, saying they've already lost the battle for America. Now, this is interesting. There is an act in 1965. It was called the Hart-Celler Act. It was essentially the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965, right? And I don't know when it became the Hart-Celler Act, somewhere along the way. Those are two people. Those are two people in Congress somewhere. And he said that act, which started in 65 under Lyndon Johnson, was the major turning point, ensuring the, quote, browning of America. I love everybody gets all worked up. The browning, the whiting. Excuse me, honestly don't care what color we are. I'm not big on it. like, like I used to hang out. I used to hang out in some pretty black communities. They'd be like, "Rob, you're the blackest white person we know," um, and I'm brown anyway because I'm in the sun all. But for a lot of people, the browning, the color thing is a deal. The browning of America, as he said. And he said this. He said in a Substack, "I want you to realize this: you have lost. White supremacists, white nationalists, you've lost." Okay, first of all, this whole win-lose thing, again, white people have lost. Now he's going to focus it on white supremacists, white nationalists, which again is to him is anybody who voted for Donald Trump. So on the one hand, he's going to say he's not picking on all white people, just those who support Trump, but that's over half the country. Well, I mean, black people and Latinos supported him too, but basically over half of white people supported him. So basically half the country is white nationalists and white supremacists. That's just a red herring. That way he kind of goes, "Oh, I'm not really picking on white people, just white nationalists, white supremacists," which in my equation is equal to anyone who voted for Trump. So half of America is white supremacists, white nationalists, which is just ridiculous. It's just complete BS. And anybody who thinks that, your head's so far up your own butt of ideology and self affirmation of your continuing cycle of whatever lies you want to tell yourself. Half of America are not white supremacists and white nationalists. It's just not true. A sliver of America is white supremacists. Probably a bigger sliver is white nationalists, defined as people who are nationalists and happen to be white. But there's black nationalists who are nationalists and happen to be black. But you put the word nationalist on, it gets a militant kind of feeling to it. Kind of misread in that sense, but there are people who are America first, if you will, which again, and go talk to the people in the hood who were pissed off that money was going to illegal immigrants, going, "Hey, take care of us first, can you, before you take care of them and Ukraine and Israel and everybody else in the world and all the wars." My family's struggle, neighborhood's a mess. My schools are a train wreck. My kids go to school. I'm worried they're going to get shot. They're America first. They're New York City first. They're Seattle first. They're my community first. They're my family first. So anyway, he's really talking to all white people when he says you've lost. Your story is a shit story filled with misery. It's filled with bland chicken. It's filled with terrible, terrible, dry ass meat. Your music sucks. All your culture sucks. Okay. Yep. He's not a racist. No, not at all. White people, you've lost. You have a shit-filled story. It's bland. It's terrible. It's dry ass meat. Your music sucks and all your culture sucks. Okay. And then he says, so we're not going away. We, meaning we, is everybody who's not white. See, again, why? How about we going away as people who don't want the same thing? Black people, brown people, Asian people, green people, white people can all want something and they can all want something different. And there are people of all colors and races who want a more America First approach, who are more conservative, who are living lives where they feel a certain philosophy works for them. Some are religious, some are Christian, some are Jewish, some are Islamic. And again, within our country, some are rich, some are poor, some are middle class. This notion that it just breaks down on color lines, like Joe Biden being like, and Kamala Harris, like, if you're black, and Obama, if you're black, you need to vote for the Black Person Party or whoever. You don't. You're not liberal because you're black, and you're not black because you're conservative. Who got these stupid ideas in their head? Among people who got it in their head is Wajid Ali. Now, he wanted to be clear, like I said before, he's not disparaging all white people, just the white MAGA voters. So just half the country. Not disparaging all white people, just the half that didn't vote my way. And he said, anybody who voted for Trump is interchangeable with a white supremacist. Okay, all right. I mean, that logic is just so counterproductive, so counterproductive. Okay. So you want to flip that script? Want to flip that script and say it the other way? Anybody who voted for Kamala Harris is blank? No, it just can't. It just doesn't work that way. Anybody who, I mean, it's just such a distorted view of how things work. You're a white supremacist if you voted for Trump. Okay, well then all the black and Latino people who voted for Trump are white supremacists. News to them, news flash. I just can't even. He did urge white people of goodwill. I feel like I'm in like 1700. Talking to the savages, Native American Indians, those of you with goodwill, black people with goodwill, you refer to them like, like a group. And if you have goodwill, white people of goodwill should confront their relatives and neighbors about their racism this holiday season. You white people with goodwill. And this guy's head just needs to be. Anyway, you need to have these conversations, he says, with your white family members. You got to say, I'm sorry. This is what people of color say when we're not looking. We say, these whites, man, they got to talk to their fellow whites. Can you seriously just stop for a second? Turn it around. These blacks, man, these blacks just need to talk to their fellow blacks. These brown people, they just need to talk to their fellow brown people. These Latinos just need to talk to their fellow Latinos. These Asian, I mean, seriously? This is racism. Black and white, pun intended level. It is pure, unadulterated racism. These whites, man, they got to talk to the other whites. And this mindset is not getting us anywhere. And he goes on, it's just offensive. He's like, your Uncle Chad, he makes a great turkey, but he's also racist. Your Auntie Karen, she's good with the kids and she goes to church, but she's also racist. Everybody's racist. Chad, Karen, Mike. What about Julio? Is Julio racist? What about Naeem? What about, Yolanda? Hakeem, are they racist too? They happen to vote for Trump? He then encourages hate mongers to watch, and he hopes they do watch because they hate watch. And he likes to conclude it with, you've lost, you have lost, you lost. The mistake you made is you let us in the first place. There is a bunch of us and we breed, we're breeding people. And the problem is you let us in 1965. Well, that's certainly going to get the white nationalists wound up. The real ones, the small minority who are the real ones. They'll be like, see, this is the problem. The rest of the white people who aren't the white nationalists just because they voted for Trump. I didn't vote for Trump, but I'd throw myself in there. He'd consider me one of them. What you're saying is the problem. The problem wasn't letting people of color in the first place. We let people of color in forever. I mean, we brought them in as slaves. That was a big mistake and took a century and a half to fix. We're still repairing it. Irish people, Italian people were like people of color back then. Back in the old days, the early 1900s. The problem is that he frames it as an us and them. You lost. You let us in the first place. Again, I keep saying the seeds of a civil war are brewing. They are being planted and watered and nurtured. And Ali is one of those people nurturing them. And it's just a hate and a divisiveness. And it doesn't matter if you want to be like, he can't be because he's an oppressed person. I don't give a fuck. He's not an oppressed person. And anybody can be a racist. And that's blatant racism. And he's pouring gasoline on a fire that he wants to light. I'm telling you, we're heading toward it. All right. Matt Van Epps wins yesterday, wins the Democratic, wins the open seat. Mark Green in Tennessee vacated his seat because he wanted to get a job, make more money. It was Matt Van Epps against Afton Ben, and she was the Democrat, the socialist. She wasn't a socialist, but she was real liberal. She was a progressive. Set that aside. I don't know how she was going to win. She's on video talking about how she hates Nashville. I mean, Nashville's part of the 7th Congressional District of Tennessee. It's kind of a long district, kind of spreads on the western side of the state. Kind of Alabama to Kentucky, goes all the way over. I mean, in Tennessee, includes part of Nashville. But, she's like, I hate country music. I hate the bachelorettes. I hate the pedal wagons. Pedal wagons are the things that people get on. They pedal and they're drunk and they pedal and they're drinking. They're not really pedaling. I mean, they pedal. The thing's got a motor. They drive through the streets of Nashville, singing and drinking, occasionally falling off and pedaling. And the bachelorette parties. I think Nashville is the bachelorette capital of the world. Well, certainly of America. I mean, it's comical to watch, it's good business for the city. Um, I'm not a huge fan person. It's kind of funny seeing all the, girls dressed up fake cowgirls and all the guys boys, you know. Um, but she hates country music too. I mean, she's basically spit all over the city. Nashville wasn't the core base she needed to win, but it's a lot of Nashville. And Nashville is not, people think conservative. It's not. It's actually very split. It's very parts of it. Nashville's like half liberal, half conservative. She lost to him. But it's interesting. I will say this, and I'm sure, more Democratic strategists and pundits will probably double down on this. He won by about 9 points, which is a comfortable win. But Mark Green won the seat like by 20 points in the last two elections, two elections, 2 years ago, 2 years before, and Trump won it by 20 points. So it's a very, very red district. That he only won by 9 points? Probably if I'm Democrats, I'm like, hey, we even got that close with a woman who is on tape saying she hates this major city that's in the district and hates everything it's about. Says a lot. I'm not going to lie. The woman he was running against, they kind of dubbed her the AOC of Tennessee. Now, here's what's interesting. Everybody says they won. So she says, after losing, what starts here changes this country. Tonight's not the final result of what we wanted. It's the beginning of something so powerful in Tennessee and across the South. That's a good spin. We lost. It's kind of a moral victory. I don't think moral victories mean a whole lot these days. It's like a team that loses a game. Well, what we saw here is what we can become as a team. Sure, it's what you say, but you lost. You get the L. But nonetheless, she thinks, as she said, I think the electorate's shifting to accept a candidate like me that has a progressive track record. I'll give her credit. I mean, she didn't win 20, which would have been, more. The Dems poured a lot of money in after the special elections, the governorships that they won. But on the other side, the Republican side, the National Republican Congressional Committee, is like, hey, Tennesseans know they can trust to fight for their safety, security, and prosperity. It's just an interesting thing. Republicans are pushing hard on safety and security and prosperity. Democrats who are winning these, like, Mandami and, the mayorship in Seattle and what will be a battle in LA, are pushing affordability and healthcare. It's the economy, stupid. James Carville, Bill Clinton. Reagan knew it. Honestly, everybody's pushing this safety, security thing, safer streets, clean up immigration, keep America. Ali, Ali can, like, we can agree on that. There's a certain drive for that. It's not all white people. It's not all white people. Ask anyone who's come over here illegally. Ask any Latino you want, and ask them what they think about future illegal immigration. And almost 90% will tell you to cut it off. Don't let any more people in. It's once you're here, it's like no more. Affordability and healthcare. Affordability is a huge issue for most Americans, and the skyrocketing cost of healthcare. Safety, security, and prosperity. I don't know. I mean, if Republicans run on safety, security, and prosperity in 2026, they lose. They better run on making, which Trump did, making, prices, costs affordable, life affordable. Yes, you want safety and security, but you want to be able to afford things, and you need, it's huge. Pocketbook issues. Van Epp said, our victory is, so his opponent, Bear, says, this is the beginning of change. Epp says the same thing. Our victory is powered by a movement of Tennessees that are ready for change. Okay, everybody's running for change. Okay, I gotta be honest, to Van Epp's, Republican taking over the Republican seat. So you change candidate? I made fun of Kamala Harris for that. I'm the candidate for change. I'm like, you're the vice president. Like, what would you change? As that famous thing on The View. Nothing. Okay, but you're the candidate for change, but you wouldn't change anything. It's funny. He's not literally the same, but he is succeeding a Republican in a Republican district. Now he's like, Tennesseans want change. I'm not sure what the change he's bringing is. I see what the change she's bringing is. Jim McGreevey ran for the mayor of Jersey City. He was the governor of New Jersey. And he came up short in a runoff. He was defeated by a progressive again, Councilman James Solomon, who's in his early 40s. We'll see. You know, he's on the Jersey City Council. He was a professor. Worked for Mayor Menino. Worked for Cory Booker, who was Newark's mayor before he was a U.S. senator. The progressives are gaining traction in a lot of cities. We'll see how it plays out in national elections, but in a lot of cities. McGreevy's interesting. He was a governor of New Jersey like 20 years ago. And then you might not remember this. He resigned in this big sex scandal. He came out as gay, and I think he was married to a woman. Came out as gay, had an extramarital affair with a New Jersey staffer, like a high-level staffer. He was like their Homeland Security advisor. And the editor denied he ever had the affair and said he just was sexually assaulted, harassed. That was never proven. But point is, McGreevey kind of train wrecked his career, came back in the early 60s, tried to make a run, solid left-leaning Democrat, lost to a much more progressive candidate. Again, we're seeing the divide. The separation is getting wider within each party, in the Democratic Party, between those who are what to anyone who's conservative would think they're very liberal, and the much more extreme progressive liberal left farther over. And on the right, in the Republican Party, with the more moderate mainstream Republicans and the more extreme ultra nationalist, ultra America first. I don't want to call them alt-right. I just don't think that's 100% accurate, but the far more radical side of the party. And both those fringes are getting to be more and more. I still think they're not the whole, and I think the whole will take pieces of that, but never move all the way to the fringes. All right. I know. So like, you feel like you're in class today? Welcome to the school. Welcome to Rob Nelson Live, class Rob Nelson Live. All right, so this is an interesting thing. Trump is now really pushing this idea of getting rid of the income tax. I wrote about this in my book 15 plus years ago, Last Call. It's still on Amazon, it's probably like $4. Last Call, 10 common sense solutions to America's biggest problems. The income tax it's no bueno. Although they don't really say no bueno that much in Latin American countries. It's a white people thing. It's not good. The income tax is first of all, the income tax is supposed to be a progressive income tax, right? And people are always railing on it, tax rich people more, etc. It's a regressive tax structure, fundamentally hurting the middle class. Very, very low income people are shielded from paying little to no taxes. Very high income people pay an enormous amount of taxes in theory, but are almost always able, despite how big their tax break is, they're able to push down what they end up paying enormously through deductions, write-offs, clever accounting. They're not breaking the law, but they're able to, I've done it, able to just jam it down to where you're actually paying less as a percentage of your income than somebody who's right in the middle, a middle-class person making the middle-class income and just paying the standard amount. So if they're like the 22% rate or whatever it is, they're paying more than the person at 35%, or even had a 40% bracket, because they're knocking all their taxes down. So they're actually they're only paying, 17%. So the middle class is who gets screwed with the income tax, because they don't have the ability to as effectively steer out of the taxes. So they're stuck with a higher percentage overall on their income, which is too high to mean their tax base is low, their tax percentage is low, and it's too low, their income's too low to allow them to actually just basically buy their way out of the taxes. I'm all for getting rid of the income tax. Always hated it. They say, what's inevitable in life? Death and taxes, right? That you never say anything else is inevitable in life other than death and taxes. That shows you how much people hate taxes. It's unique if you think about it. Okay, so Trump says, and Trump's saying based on his tariff income, I think they're going to need to have like some kind of we need some kind of a national sales tax or something, or a flat tax. We'll talk about that in a second. But Trump just thinks his tariff revenue could do it, and he said this before. He said before, saying, he says, it's a quote, at some point in the not too distant future, you won't even have income tax to pay. So, because what they're collecting from the tariffs is, quote, so great, so enormous. Whether you get rid of it or just keep it around fun or have it really low, much lower than it is now, but you won't be paying income tax. Like I said, I don't know that the tariff revenues can offset that. They might partly. I do think, again, a sales tax and maybe, or just a simple flat tax, just one tax bracket for everybody, with the exception of the uber poor don't have to pay because you're making so little money, you can't live on it anyway. But everybody else gets one tax. Imagine this. So when I went to law school at Stanford, and I had a tax professor. Actually, if you're familiar with with Sam Bankman-Fried and the FTX scandal, it was his dad. His dad was a tax professor at Stanford Law. So in any case, Professor Bankman, sorry, my head is spinning with all kinds of things. Joe Bankman, the professor, anyway, was a great tax professor. And he explained that the tax code was so complex and so complicated that for the final exam, which was a 4-hour exam, he was like, it's open book. You don't have to study at all. Just bring the IRS tax code. Every answer to every question is somewhere in that book because it was a test on the tax code. And he's like, but I guarantee you, if you do that, you'll fail because you will not have time to find them. You'll never find them in the time for. You'll never get there. Point being, it's so complicated, so confusing, so many thousands of pages that even like a bunch of really smart law students wouldn't be able to find the answers 4 hours to answer the questions on a test. That complicated code could go away if you had a flat tax with no exceptions, period. Maybe you make 1 or 2 special ones, but that's it. Other than that, none. Everybody pays 12%. I made that number up. If you make $100,000, you pay 12%. If you make $30,000, you pay 12%. If you make $10 billion, you pay 12%. There's no write-offs, there's no deductions, there's no nothing. You all pay 12%, and there we go. It would be so simple. It would put a whole lot of lawyers out of business. You wouldn't even need tax filing companies. You just file it online. And I think you'd see the government would end up with more money because the super rich who make so much of the income in the country manage to push their taxes way, way down. So they're maybe paying a high percentage, but they're not paying an equal share. If you actually took that upper 5% of wealth and put just a flat tax bracket on it with no exceptions, an enormous amount of revenue would come in, similar to Trump's tariffs, if you will. I don't remember this. Trump, in his first term, tossed about the idea for if you earned under $150,000, we should get rid of the income tax and proposed tariffs to replace it. Didn't happen, but I like the idea. I'm sorry if I got that wrong. I didn't mean his first term. I meant this term, like right after, like probably it was in, I don't know, late February, whenever. And he said, we need to go back to the system that made us richer and more powerful than ever before. Instead of taxing our citizens to enrich foreign nations, we should be tariffing and taxing foreign nations to enrich citizens. This might have been before he was elected because Joe Rogan asked him about it. And asked if he was serious about eliminating, and that would have been when he was a candidate, when he went on Rogan, if he was serious about eliminating taxes, income taxes. And Trump said, yeah, why not? So now here's one for you, though. And by the way, it'd be hard to get this through. You got a very narrow House majority. The Senate would never, you'd have to kill the filibuster 100% and to get it through the Senate. And even then, within the Republican Party, there'd be divisions. You'd need every Republican vote. and it's always been called a fringe idea. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. This is an interesting one. Trump at one point considered a one-time, he called it a net worth tax on people with over $10 million. It's an interesting idea. Interesting to where he is now. But here's the interesting part. I'm going to talk about this more on Wednesday. On Monday, Friday. I get my days all mixed up on Friday. You remember in 1999, there was a thing called the Reform Party, and Trump was considering a prospective run. 1999. I think a lot of people realize that. We're going to talk about that because think about this, 1999. That's like 26 years ago. Trump thought about running on the Reform Party, and he would have had policies that were like a one-time tax on people with a net worth tax on people with wealth over 10 million. Trump was a Democrat, and he would have been interesting if you go back and look at what the Reform Party was about then, what he was standing for. He's still trying to reform government, but he's moved. Well, I don't know that he has become much more conservative. He's in a much more conservative party, and he plays a much more conservative role. Takes much more conservative positions. In reality, how much he's so much more conservative than he ever was. He was never a progressive, but he's definitely a Democrat. And I think at core, again, now everything's gotten so pushed, but I think Trump is probably not as conservative as he appears, and he's definitely more conservative than he was. I'd be the same way. I am the same way. We are pretty much out of time, so I'm gonna tease for Friday. We're gonna talk about Maduro. As we go, I'm just gonna leave you with this question: whatever happened to Doge? Elon Musk and Trump are friends again. Apparently, they were at Charlie Kirk's chatting and kind of laughing at Charlie Kirk's, well, not laughing, but you know what I mean, friendly talk at Charlie Kirk's memorial service. And he was asked about it, and he said, I don't remember what he said. Somebody asked him and he was at the Crown Prince dinner for the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. But he did get asked about it, and Trump said something unfounded here. Well, I really don't know. I mean, I like Elon a lot. We'll see how that plays out. But my question is, whatever happened to Doge? Remember, that was the thing. It was the whole thing. Everything comes and then it goes, right? The Ukraine war, but we're going to have peace. Now it's gone. We may have it back again. Tariffs, they're here, then they might be gone. Doge, here, then gone. Here and gone, here and gone. It's the world we live in, a here and gone world. Think about that for a second. Longevity is a hard thing in this society. Just look at social media. Look at what you watch. You watch this, it's gone. If you did watch this, you're going to forget tomorrow, 15 minutes, you're onto something else. That's significant. It's significant for how we operate, we move, what's succeeding, and who will succeed in the future. Sadly, it won't be about substance necessarily. It'll be about who can just catch it fast, and it will just as fast. That's always been true. It's just more true with more impact now than ever. All right, I'm Rob Nelson. Thanks for watching. I will see you on Friday.
Meet Rob Nelson, talk show host.
Because you got the 70s thing going there. I got someone's underwear.
Robert Kennedy, thanks for taking a minute. Simple question.
Tucker,
It's good to see you. Listen,
you're a Bitcoin maximalist. You're Bitcoin forever.
I hate this central bank digital currency.